Hey everyone, this is Aaron Fink from Grapple City Rewind. If you like what you hear on this episode, give us a follow, leave a review, cut a promo on us by calling 626-657-SLAM. Anything goes. It'll go a long way in helping us to be discovered by more wrestling fans like you. All right, cue that music.
Hello and welcome to Grapple City Rewind, taking you all the way back to the iconic pay-per-views that have shaped pro wrestling history. Today we're heading back to the summer of 1992 when En Vogue and Pearl Jam ruled the Billboard charts. Everyone was rocking hypercolor shirts like it was science fiction, and WCW brought the beach to the ring, literally complete with sand and a bikini swimsuit contest. This is Beach Blast. I almost said Bachelor Please. That's Beach Blast 92, featuring some pretty cool athletic contests. It was an interesting time where Bill Watts was doing the booking, I believe. They were kind of in between Rhodes and Bischoff, and some pretty cool stuff. It's kind of a deep cut, but maybe a little underrated. Well, I'm Bradley Palermo, as always, with Aaron Fink. And Aaron, maybe we should talk a little bit about the current product. I know this week has been kind of like a come down from the weekend before. It was pretty crazy, but we weren't around on that insane Wrestle War weekend.
We were not, but it was a fun weekend. We had an NXT show on Saturday. We had AEW's All In on Saturday. We had Saturday night's main event from WWE Saturday night, and then Sunday we had Evolution. I think
all kinds of shit. I thought it was kind of funny that Bill Goldberg got cut off in his goodbye speech on his final match.
He got very grumpy about it too. I don't know if you saw.
I'm sure Bret Hart got a kick out of that.
Yeah, he did.
It's just a fitting end. It was a decent match for a guy.
It was a great match.
Had kind of like not that many great matches in his career. So I mean, what more could you really want? You actually had a good, like, solid 13-minute match for once in your fucking life.
He wanted a lot more, apparently.
Well, I mean, I think he wanted, like, the Ric Flair final match. Well, one of them, not that last one, but
right,
more of a send off. But he'll probably be back in AEW to do it at All In next year or something. I don't know.
Who knows? It was actually probably the best Goldberg match that I can think of.
Yeah.
Since he was not in WCW anymore. A lot of that had to do with Gunther, I'm sure. And I mean, he got upset because they had to. It's like national television, dude. You were on NBC. You can't just go over on NBC. Like, there's something that needs to start at 10 p.m. on the dot.
Like the fucking news or whatever. Yeah,
it was the news, and also the whole thing got released on the internet afterwards. So I don't know what he's complaining about. It seems like nothing would ever be good enough for him, but I don't know. That was a very good match. It was an okay event. I feel like the event of that weekend as a whole, start to finish, was probably Evolution. Evolution was incredibly solid, start to finish.
Yeah, I think AEW, Tony Khan, were mission accomplished when it came to me, because after 6 hours of All In, and I got to a Goldberg match, not even the rest of the Saturday night thing, and by the next day I was pretty much done. So if I watched something on Evolution, which I think I did, it may have been like a match. So I didn't get to see that one. But on All In, I was really happy, like everyone else, that Jon Moxley, lost the World Championship to Hangman Adam Page. And I have to say, the first time Adam Page was champion of AEW, I didn't buy it. I didn't think his promos were strong. I felt like he came out just kind of like sappy little bitch, and he didn't seem, he has like kind of like his Kermit the Frog sort of voice. It just seemed like someone put him there. It didn't seem like I bought him as like this like manly champion of the world. And now
he didn't have a lot of good feuds back then.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a lackluster title reign. And then I think, didn't Punk beat him for the AEW championship? I think he did.
And he kind of did some shoot stuff on Punk back then.
Yeah.
In the middle of like the go home show. And I had a lot of reasons that he was rubbing me the wrong way. And it's funny because now I really kind of buy into this whole like, well, the Moxley reign was awful. And even though
Yeah.
it's story, it's like you made it bad enough to put enough heat on Moxley to make you the real hero in the story, and for me and so many other people to buy into it, even if you weren't a fan of Hangman at all. I was hoping it was going to be like Osprey or something before, but now it seems like the moment is right. So and then he
Yeah.
come back last week, of course, on Dynamite. He gave another good promo. So props to Hangman Adam Page.
Dropped an F-bomb on Wednesday Night Dynamite, which was it's actually a rare occurrence. But yeah, All In was also very good. I think the second half of All In was terrific. Basically from the tag match between the Young Bucks and Swerve and Osprey to the end, with maybe one or two exceptions, like amazing matches. And agreed, the main event, it's kind of funny because as AEW fans, I think you could probably say universally AEW fans did not enjoy the Jon Moxley Death Riders storyline, or at least the period of time where he had the title. Right. And it ended at All In. Hangman beat him, like we said, and it was probably the best moment AEW's had, like the biggest pop, the most excitement. And so it's almost like when you look back on 9 months that everyone hated, and then you look at what happened last weekend, it's like, well, maybe it was all worth it. Maybe it was bad, but maybe the destination, the road was bumpy as shit, but the destination was where we wanted it to be.
Yeah, it's like wearing really tight shoes, so you have the relief of taking them off at the end of the day, right? But it also kind of harkened back to the Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns thing a few years ago when they, beat Cody and made us wait a whole nother year. And everyone's like, God damn it, this guy's had the title for way too long, Roman Reigns. It was similar to that. But I guess wrestling stories, there's only a few basic templates that you need to plug into, and you can kind of elicit the same reactions from us, the fans, I think. I didn't mean to breeze over Revolution. What were the highlights? Evolution. Sorry. What were the highlights of that?
Honestly, dude, every match was really, really good. I would say it's a must watch. It might be the best WWE PLE of this year so far.
Wow.
I would say the only one that could come close is probably Elimination Chamber.
Right.
Just because both chamber matches were really good. I think that was when we got the Sammy and KO street fight. And then obviously we had the Cena heel turn, which maybe didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, but as a moment, it was a hell of a pay-per-view. So yeah, Evolution was pretty great. Let me see. I gotta look at the matches again because I don't even remember. So opening match, triple threat, Bayley, Becky Lynch, Lyra for the Intercontinental Championship. Very good match.
Yeah.
JC Jane versus Jordan Grace for the NXT Women's Championship. That was also pretty good. They had a 4-way tag match. Raquel and Roxanne versus Charlotte and Alexa, Sol Ruka and Zarya, and then Asuka and Kairi Sane. Like, okay. Maybe that's the one that you skip. Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus was pretty good. Jade versus Naomi in a no-holds-barred match was pretty good.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. The Battle Royal was really good with Stephanie Vaquer winning.
Yeah.
And then the main event was insane. It was Rhea versus Io.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
And then it turned in, and then Naomi cashed in. Which you probably know.
Yeah, no, I gotta watch that. I've been going through all kinds of shit the past week. So, I really do need to see that. That's interesting. I was thinking that, when I was watching the Netflix boxing matches the other night at the end, they said, look at us, we did an all women's boxing event. And I thought, that's cool, but I didn't even fucking notice. Like, I was just watching boxing, which is weird. It's like nothing happened there that made me think, oh, these people are less of competitors, or this is not what I normally would watch when I grew up.
Yeah.
As far as boxing goes, which is great. But then I was thinking, it's the same way in WWE. Maybe not yet in AEW, but they've got the women's division to the point where it doesn't feel like you're watching a special kind of match featuring women instead of just men.
Yeah.
I wonder, could you just give the women, instead of having separate brands, just give the women one of the nights and have the men have the other night? have SmackDown as the female show. And, you know, I'm not saying they should or shouldn't, but I think you could, and it wouldn't really fuck anything up at this point.
No, but I think it's an interesting discussion because I think for as many people who want there to be moments where you can highlight a certain group of people, there are probably just as many people who are like, no, 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 we don't need to be highlighted. We need to be included and equal. The women probably love Evolution because it is, you know, a spotlight on them and they get to really show out. And I think this pay-per-view was an example. They all went really hard and the crowd was really, really behind them. It felt like a black and gold NXT pay-per-view. Like that's how much fun it was, how good the women were, how excited the crowd was. So like it's a tricky discussion, you know. Should they have their own show? I mean, I think we all agree they certainly could.
Could,
do
is
they
all I
like
mean. Yeah.
does it need to be that way? Probably not. You know, I think maybe what would be the real win right now is like if Raw is 2.5 hours, you know, try to split up the time as evenly as you can, making, and you know, obviously some weeks you'll have to give more time to certain stories than others, but I think to try to work more of that equality in terms of time on the shows, that's probably what I would like to see more than anything else.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And now it's time for the rewind.
Okay, it was the summer of 1992, June 20th to be exact, and World Championship Wrestling had their Beach Blast 92 event live in Mobile, Alabama at the Mobile Civic Center. The main events were Steamboat Willie, were Ricky Steamboat and Rick Rude, which they had an Iron Man match, 30-minute Iron Man match, and the Steiner brothers defended their tag team championship against Terry Gordy and Steve Williams. Commentary by Jim Ross in a Hawaiian shirt, Jesse Ventura, and a bloody tank top of some sort. The attendance was about 5,000 people, and we started off with some nice 90s cartoon beachy intros, and Tony Schiavone and Eric Bischoff and Bill Watts previewing the event. And the first
baby faces with Schiavone and Bischoff, right? To see them so
like
young.
literally, right? Like shaven and stuff.
Yeah. Also, Bischoff was like so tan. My goodness.
Yeah.
It was like, but it wasn't like spray on. It was like he laid out in the sun and got that tan. He committed to that.
You know, before I watched this, I actually watched the WCW Saturday Night. I watched the Go Home show.
Oh, okay. Leading up to this.
Yeah, I was like, you know, why not watch the Go Home show before the pay-per-view, just like I would normally if it was on modern times. And it was cool. I mean, it was the same day, and it was just a lot of, you know, it was almost like a 0-hour show it would be today.
Mm-hmm.
They did a couple matches, but it was a lot of like Dusty Rhodes out there talking about his son's gonna win, and you know, other people that are affiliated with these guys, their tag team partners and stuff, kind of hyping up the matches. But it was fun because I was like, oh my god, you know, I'm gonna call my cable company and get that pay-per-view. You know, like they were pushing the whole time.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting the Bill Watts angle of this whole thing. So I know of Bill Watts. I wasn't like, you know, really, I definitely wasn't watching when he was in professional wrestling. So to hear about him and see him and then read later on that he had instituted these rules from the NWA, I thought that was really fascinating. The number one thing that actually plays a part throughout the pay-per-view in a couple different matches is that if you jump off the top rope with a move and you're attacking somebody, that's a disqualification. Feels like a weird rule, but and I'm assuming based off the way people talk about this period of time that nobody really liked that he did this, that he hated all these rules. Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't throw someone over the top rope, but you could hit them and result in the inertia could result in them falling over the top rope, but you couldn't, you know, toss them over that either. Some people I was reading have like, they call him like Bill Wrestling is a shoot Watts. He wanted everything to be a shoot to look real.
I see.
And it lasted, so I think Dusty Rhodes booked Beach Blast 92, and then Bill Watts took over the booking before it actually occurred. So this is under the Bill Watts like new rules. There's also no pads on on the sides of the ring. It's just cement because he wants to toughen everything up. And Bill Watts, like tough guys. He wasn't really into like the high flying and the, you know, some of the stuff that, you know, obviously he wasn't into the high flyers. He didn't want people on top rope, but it hindered workers like Ricky Steamboat and guys like that because they were doing stuff that involved a lot of in aerial moves. And I guess the fans hated it. And they had by December of the same year, it was gone. They were back on the top ropes.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it certainly didn't, like, not being able to fly around played a part in the first match of the night, which was for the light heavyweight championship. It was flying Brian Pillman, who I guess couldn't do a lot of flying, against Scotty Flamingo.
Yeah.
And as soon as Scotty Flamingo came out, I was like, I know who that is. Wait, who is that?
I was like, I recognize this fucker. Yeah.
Yeah. So I looked it up, and it's who we know more colloquially as Raven, who was in ECW, WCW, and even WWE for a very short time.
Yes, all my notes say Raven because once I saw the face, I was like, "That's Raven." But
yeah,
I like
what a terrible character.
I was gonna say I like his Scotty Flamingo character. It's just I wear a lot of pink, therefore I am a flamingo.
I'm a flamingo. Yeah, nothing about him except for the fact that he was wearing pink trunks would lead you to believe that this man's name is Scotty Flamingo. And the crowd didn't really care for him at all. They were obviously rooting for Brian Pillman. And, you know, for the opening match, I did really enjoy it. I thought
it's good.
It was pretty quick, and they moved, you know, with a lot of intention, and they flew around as much as they could.
Yeah. And, you know, it went by fast, but it wasn't a short match. You know, it was over 17 minutes long, and a ton of classic holds and arm drags, that kind of thing. You know, they were outside the ring a bit on that cement, which I thought was kind of interesting and did look kind of dangerous. We learned at that point about, you know, some of the rules we aforementioned. And Flamingo surprisingly won, even though Pillman dominated that whole fucking thing.
That's right. Yeah, Flamingo won because he was on the So outside of the ring, a little bit different, certainly different than most setups in current day wrestling. There was a ramp that was basically absolutely perfectly level with the apron of the ring.
Didn't AEW do that briefly?
They've done it a little bit. Yeah, AEW does it on and off.
Yeah.
But they're pretty much the only modern day promotion that I've seen do it in recent memory. So the finish was like a part of that. So I remember Flamingo was out on that little ramp, and Brian Pillman tried to do a dive, and Flamingo got out of the way, and Pillman's, you know, quote unquote, smacked his head on the stage, and then Scotty hit him with some sort of knee, and then he beat him.
We'll be back after a quick break.
And this episode has been brought to you by Weber for Law, your tag team partner when life body slams you out of nowhere. If you've been injured in an accident, motorcycle, car, dog bite, slip and fall, or even if you've been hit in the head with a flying steel chair, these are the guys to call. They've got knockout reviews on Google, a killer track record, and they always fight for the win. I can testify to that personally. Weber for Law took care of me, and they will take care of you too. Don't wait. Visit weberforlaw.com. That's WEBER, the number 4, law.com. Or call 818-502-9200. That's 818-502-9200. Weber for Law, your tag team partner when life body slams you out of nowhere. Did you notice that the crowd popped when Raven's tights slipped? You can see a little bit of his ass.
His butt, yeah. The girls like that.
The girls were screaming, and I was thinking, you know, this is back. Also, if you look at the audience in the front row or whatever, there's like an old lady eating nachos, like screaming at everyone. There's like a dad.
There's like a good amount of older folks in the like first few rows.
But there's like clearly like, you know, young ladies there. There's what I'm saying is it's a diverse family crowd, and there's actually women there who like scream when a guy does something that's like quote unquote sexy. That's now, you know, it's a bunch of 40-year-old like fat guys. It's not really the white fat guys. It's not really that diverse. It's like this was like kind of like the fucking town square came out to the wrestling match, which I just thought it was interesting. A time when wrestling was perhaps a little bit more like mainstream,
Well, but it wasn't. That's what's interesting. Like, it wasn't mainstream, but it was more widely accepted as like family entertainment, like
Yeah.
I guess like you don't see as many 70 or like there were legitimately like 5 or 6 people that had to be in their 70s in the front of the crowd, and you don't see that in modern day wrestling anymore. The like the oldest people get, I would say, is probably like 50s or 60s at least what I see generally when I go to shows. But back then it was like, yeah, you had kids like ages 8 to 80, and now it's more like 6 to 50.
Yeah, and you can tell like some of these old ladies and stuff, like they know what's going on. They know the rules. Like they know what they're yelling with intent. There's something they want the wrestlers to do. It's not just kind of like, oh my god, it's kind of a cool little piece.
Yeah, like there was a lady like shaking her finger, like, nope, you're not gonna win that way, or something. Like,
and there's a lot of people. It's it's Mobile, Alabama, so there's guys that are just there in their overalls and stuff, like no shirt underneath and stuff. Like you really do get a feel for who the audience was, and I think also they don't do a lot of work with the lighting and dimming the back and everything. Like
it
modern
was
shows, so
very
you can see everybody.
Very low rent production, I guess you could say. Like not really. And I remember the first shot of it where we were seeing the crowd. I was like, I can't see, like I'm squinting because I couldn't see. It was so dark. It's like, well, here's the crowd shot, and I'm like, I don't see it.
It's a good feel though. I don't know. It's something. I guess it just has a retro feel that I appreciate. But then we got on to this bikini contest segment 1, which has been going. It's a thread throughout the show. It's hosted by Johnny B. Bad and his full Little Richard cosplay that we've talked about before, the feather boa, the sequins jacket.
Yes, but we haven't seen him. We've only seen him as Marvelous Mark Marrow, I think.
Yeah, so he's very flamboyant. He's almost like RuPaul drag queen type environment. Jesse Ventura makes several jokes about how he's doing bikini contests, but he clearly doesn't like girls. That's how he says it.
Yep.
And as we said before, being gay in the 90s was very funny to people.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, can we just say that this is a story thread that I just rolled my eyes at repeatedly because, like, first of all, Medusa, every time she comes, so there, I guess we can explain that there's 3 rounds to this. There's like an evening gown, the swimsuit, and the bikini round. So
yes, there was.
It's Medusa, who is a WCW wrestler, versus Missy Hyatt. Was Missy Hyatt a wrestler too? Honestly, I don't remember.
I'm not sure. I mean, I heard that name a million times. I don't know what exactly we've seen her on, but
yeah, no, she was. I guess, yeah, I don't really remember Missy Hyatt, but I remember Medusa, and I just remember. I mean, Medusa was the heel, but she looked so unhappy.
Oh,
every time she had to come out, she was like, I fucking hate this place. Get me out of here.
Yeah, I mean, she was the heel, but yeah, you're right. She seemed legitimately unhappy. Like, what the fuck? And the contest was real stupid. They walk out of like a little beach tent, like they're a little hideaway to change that's like only the size of them, and then they come out first in formal wear. So Medusa's in like a full-on fucking wedding dress,
evening gown. Yeah,
well, she's got like a fucking bouquet to throw, like in the veil and stuff. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But Missy Hyatt was in like her regular evening gown. But so the fans, they're trying to push this like 1-900 number, like they always are.
Always pushing it.
But yes, exactly.
Twice.
Did you push it again? Okay.
No.
Is it stuck? I think the button got stuck down or something. I'm like, is that you?
It.
I had to scrape the gum out of the edges there. Yeah, so they have their 1-900 number, and Missy Hyatt's getting all the pops, but throughout the show they're showing like obviously a worked number that's like, yeah, Missy Hyatt's getting her ass kicked. Missy Hyatt's about to cinch it, but
51 to 49.
More votes, yeah, whatever. And they're trying to get you to call and vote for Missy Hyatt and thinking that she's losing when obviously people are just calling and paying their $1.99 a minute for Missy anyways. And they don't even give you the fucking results at the end. They tell you got to wait till like Wednesday or Tuesday or Monday or whatever. And then we get into our second match, which is Ron Simmons versus Terry Taylor, who's under the gimmick the tailor-made man at this point.
Oh God, yeah.
Ron Simmons looks incredible at this point. He is
He's about to be the champ in a few months, I think.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah, he's huge fucking muscles. Just looks like the scariest motherfucker. I also think, like other WCW things we've watched, I'd be remiss to not mention that Ron Simmons is the only black guy on this entire huge fucking card, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That all your wrestlers are the same race.
That's not true because
is
there
it not
was
true?
Well, the dark match that we did not get to see had Junkyard Dog in it.
Oh shit! Well, I didn't see that, but yeah, it's still crazy to me. I'm like, are other sports like this at this time? Are you watching football and there's like only one black guy? Like, or is it just wrestling that has a weird thing? I don't know.
It's just wrestling that was racist for too many years.
A lot of years. And then we see Bill Alfonso as a referee, which I think
we did.
Is this the first time we've seen him as a referee together?
No, I mean we saw no. I think he was reffing something else because we saw him in ECW. Obviously,
we might have seen him recently on another match, but it's always great to see him after watching him in ECW. Like, seeing him all buttoned up because he's such a crazy motherfucker once he gets to ECW. It's like when the fucking Asylum takes over the prison, ECW.
I enjoyed seeing Terry Taylor because I hear about him a lot now that we get to be a part of so much behind the scenes WWE discussion. Terry Taylor is an agent backstage, and I feel like I've heard his name mentioned a lot lately from like people in NXT or on that show LFG. He's just like, he helps people put matches together and stuff. So it was nice to see him actually work.
So Simmons won quickly and he cut a solid babyface promo on hard work. And he talked about like, no matter what color you are or where you come from, you can be champion. I will be champion, all that stuff. And, it was nice. And he would be champion that same summer. So as you've already mentioned, so that was cool. It was quick. It was 4 minutes. And then we get on to Greg the Hammer Valentine versus Marcus Bagwell, or as we know him better, Buff Bagwell.
Buff.
I didn't really watch this match because I got caught up in Buff Bagwell, looking him up. I watched a little bit, but Buff Bagwell this week lost his legs. His legs were amputated above the knees after a drunk driving incident that he caused, I guess a few years ago. So that's a bummer. I know also, but also he just has an interesting life. He worked for Cowboys for Angels, the famous male escort group out here in Los Angeles that they made a TV show called Gigolos about, and he was on TV as a gigolo. I believe he was married at the time and she didn't know that he was not only working as an escort but also that he was on fucking TV about it.
Oh boy.
I don't know, some of this stuff is like, I looked it up. Some of it was there a dark side of the ring on him that I may have seen? I'm not sure.
I don't think so, but I remember I've seen him recently because of DDP. I think he was one of the people that DDP was helping sort of get back on their feet.
I mean, I feel bad for the guy. Obviously, he lost his legs, and his amputations were after 40 plus surgeries. So this guy's been through a lot. And I mean, he was the drunk driver in that incident. But I think lots of people have, been behind the wheel when they shouldn't have, and you never want that kind of outcome for anybody. So I
think it's just one leg, by the way, not both.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just one above the knee amputation.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks for clarifying that before I go spreading the wrong shit.
I also said something last episode that was completely wrong, and now I forgot what it was. I was going to try and fix it, but I apologize. I may say things that are completely incorrect from time to time.
There's plenty of times where I'm editing and I'm like, what am I talking about? Like, I know for a fact that is not correct. Sometimes just the way it comes out is incorrect. What you meant to say, but
yeah. Oh, I remember what it was now. I remember what it was, and I want to clarify. Dean Malenko, I said he had never worked in WWF as an agent, and I was wrong. He was an agent in WWF, and he also wrestled there very briefly.
Oh, wow. Good to know. We'll put that, we'll have like a little letters from the editor spot where we can accept corrections.
I will say the Bagwell Valentine match, this was the first one that really grabbed my attention in a way that the previous two hadn't. And I think it was because of Greg Valentine. I don't know if I've seen a lot of Greg Valentine matches before. Just the dog collar match with Piper. I think that's
cool.
I think that's the one. But
Piper and Portland.
I think so. I think that's what that is. But I really liked Greg Valentine, just the way he worked, his pace. I could tell that Bagwell was new to
Yeah.
wrestling
Yeah.
and that Valentine was sort of leading him along. But yeah, I thought Greg Valentine was like fantastic. And he was, up in his years by this point, but still got pops. Like people were excited about the figure four.
Yeah.
It was cool. I for only having seen a few Greg Valentine matches, I really enjoyed getting to see more.
Yeah, for being a little bit older than you, I feel like Greg Valentine was in everything at a certain period of time when I was starting, and like certainly like WCW stuff. I remember us having like the figures and stuff. It was just kind of not quite the sensation of Hulk Hogan, but kind of that look and way better of a worker. I mean, now I know that, but
yeah. And then we got to the real good match, or at least one of the matches that this pay-per-view is known for, and that was Cactus Jack against Sting in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And we love Mick. I love seeing Mick Foley.
yes.
This was a very different presentation for Cactus Jack because they sort of bill him as a hitman that I guess Vader or whoever, maybe it was Paul Heyman, Paulie Dangerously, like hired to take care of Sting to sort of soften him up for Vader.
Right. Yeah, he's kind of one of. It's funny, right, that these kind of things are still happening. That Paul Heyman still has his little hitmen, his little like soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
They're not little, but they're kind of low on the pole of like the championship title thing. Sting was Sting was a world champion at this point, but Cactus Jack didn't have an opportunity at the title with this match. This was straight up just.
I thought that was a little strange too, right? Like
non-title match. Yeah,
like in the middle of the show. I guess it was really all setting up the Great American Bash, which it was only like a month later. So very interesting choice, like to have your champion in a non-title match that, as far as like, well, so you watched the Go Home. Did they talk about the whole Cactus Jack being hired thing at all?
I think there was a lot about like, why would a champion take on this kind of situation?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, well, he wants to show that he'll take on anything at any time. But there was the angle that he was supposed to knock him out before the big title match that was coming up. So yeah, I got that information.
Okay. Yeah, because without that information, I was like, this is a great match, but like, why is it happening?
Yeah, I think it was just showing his intestinal fortitude that he was. Which it's funny. That's a term they use in this show. Again, I don't know if you heard it, but
again, they did. It's I think the body. I think Jesse Ventura likes that.
So
it's intestinal fortitude there, Jim.
The brawl began on the ramp in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
What you could expect, tons of chair shots, action all over. They said falls can happen anywhere on the Gulf Coast.
On the Gulf Coast,
they were going outside, but they never made it outside of the arena.
They did not. It felt like a real Foley match, right? Like,
yeah,
when you wouldn't really expect one in 1992 in WCW. Like, he did his elbow onto the floor and took a bunch of crazy back body drops over the railing.
Yeah,
typical Foley.
It was a lot for back then. It was a different kind of match. And it was, seeing Foley like that much of a heel he did a good job with it. He's sitting there. If you didn't know who this guy was and think of him as kind of the baby face that we think of him now, with his teeth fucking missing and his crazy ass hair in his face, like I see how he would have been pretty terrifying, especially for the children. But it was a quick match. I mean, it was about 10 minutes long. I think, what does it say here? 11:25. So yeah, just over 10 minutes long, and it was in and it was out, and it was action packed, and
the crowd was very much into this one, very much behind Sting. You could tell pretty
Sting
much
won, right? Yeah,
he did. Yeah, he did. I don't remember what he did to beat him, but it was a pin somewhere. I noticed that when they started fighting in the crowd, it was a pretty short amount of time that they were in the crowd, but the crowd was like super raucous. Like the security was really trying to hold them back in a way that doesn't really happen today so much. And it's not like they didn't fight in the crowd back in the day. Of course they did. It's just like everyone was like, oh my God. People were like trying to get in and touch them and yelling shit.
On the same token, I do notice when the action would get hot on the side of the ring, kids would like run up to the railings, and now there's like, I mean, if you're sitting on the floor in the front, there's a security guy that's like right there in the aisle. If you try to get up and get into the aisle, you're fucked. And they were letting people like run up to so there was a little bit more like looseness with sort of how people, they probably had GA. I don't know. It's probably just like, we got here first, so we're sitting here. I don't know.
But could be a lot looser, but then also like there's just sort of an energy that was always kind of there. And a lot of it, I think, again, Mr. Audio Guy over here, I think a lot of it has to do with how they recorded it, the type of microphone placement that they had in a place like this. And during this time, there's only so much that you can do, but like you did feel the crowd a lot of the time, and especially in this match. And even though it was 10, 11 minutes, like the crowd really enjoyed it.
And then we get into the other big match on this one, which was the Iron Man Challenge. It's a 30-minute Iron Man match. I'm used to seeing maybe more like 60-minute Iron Man matches in modern time, but it's Rick Rude, who's the U.S. champion, versus Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat, his real name is Richard Blood, and in the 70s, more than once, he was billed as Dick Blood. That is a true thing. So I've thought, how appropriate. We have Dick Rude versus Dick Blood in a 30-man time limit. Rude comes out, trashes the crowd, calls them fat, ugly, beach-loving bozos. Make sure that he's got all the heat he needs for this one. Steamboat is such a babyface. I believe him. He just seems like such a good fucking guy.
Yeah.
Over the years. But to further hammer that message in there, he comes out with his fucking wife and his kids. Jesse,
his little dragon outfit.
Yeah, Jesse says this is disgusting. And he sees him with his kid and his wife, which I thought was hilarious.
I love Jesse Ventura. He's so inappropriate.
Oh, this is disgusting. The commentary referenced Dan Quayle's potato spelling gaffe, which I don't know how they worked that in, but we forgot that we were in 1992 when Bill Clinton was on the campaign trail to become president 6 months later. That's where we were in time. Bill Clinton.
Dan Quayle didn't know how to spell potato.
Potatoe. So it's it's whoever gets, if you don't know what an Iron Man match is, it's whoever scores the most pinfalls in a match. So normally you get one pinfall, it's over. This time you go until the time's up, which made it really feel like a legitimate sport contest in a way, because you're sitting there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Rick Rude gets like the first two falls and then even the third one, but it's I think I remember what happened. He got two falls really quickly, and then he decides he's going to do something from the top rope. And he does like a top rope knee drop or something. So then he gets disqualified. So then it's 2-1, and then he does something else, and then it becomes 3-1. And I'm like, whoa. It's like good that he went off the top rope, because he quickly got that point back by injuring the shit out of Steamboat. But I mean,
that's pretty classic. That was like what MJF did against Danielson in his Iron Man match. If you remember, he used something, he like did a low blow or did something super illegal right in front of the ref, and he got disqualified. But then because he did that, he pinned him and then got a fall immediately. So.
That MJF Danielson match is one of my favorite matches of all time. I have to watch it again to see how I feel, but it's one of my favorites I've ever seen. But this was really there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of I just had a story to it. But
yeah, Ricky was fighting from underneath pretty much the entire match, fighting from a 3-1 deficit. I didn't love the fact that the countdown clock was always on the screen. Like, especially in the beginning, like the first 5-10 minutes, I was like, I don't want to see how much time has elapsed. I just want to focus on the match. And eventually I got there, but it was a little distracting.
Yeah, it's like you could have it flash up at certain times and then fade in. So maybe like at 10 minutes you have it fade out, and then you kind of dissolve back in at 5 minutes and fade out, Yeah,
the other interesting thing about this whole entire pay-per-view is I could hear them counting down how much time had passed in a match and how much was left on every match, which I thought was which is definitely something we don't hear a lot, and I know AEW has been criticized for in the past that when they have time limit draws, that's the only time you hear Justin Roberts be like, 10 minutes have elapsed, 20 minutes remaining.
Yeah.
And every match, I heard it in this pay-per-view. Every single match.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of like it being announced because it feels like a public sporting event, but also it kind of, as someone who just pays a lot of attention to wrestling, is always wondering how things work. I'm kind of like, oh, is that kind of just like giving your signal to the wrestlers, like, giving them their cue? I don't know.
I'm sure that had something to do with it.
I think the refs have the in-ears now, so they can just say like, all right, you got 5 minutes left here. Whatever. I would imagine.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
But for the purposes of like convincing you that it's legitimate, I think that totally works. And especially when you end up going to time limit draws, the fact that you've done that in every other match and do it in the one that ends in a draw adds legitimacy to the draw, and then doesn't get you expecting it, which I think is nice.
That's the thing. Yeah, AEW kind of spoils it for you. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean,
but Steamboat won this one 4-3. He came back from underneath, kind of like any sport movie at the end when the underdog team has to pull through at the last second. The basketball.
Yep.
There's Teen Wolf or anything. You're like, oh, it's 70-71.
Miracle.
Yeah,
that's what I always think of, the 1980s hockey team.
Yes.
But a good match, yeah. He got that last fall. Like, I think there were like 10 seconds left or something. Like, it was real close. Or no, it was like a minute or 30 seconds, and Rick Rude just kept doing stuff to him, and he couldn't get him to pin. He couldn't successfully pin him. It was a good ending. I enjoyed the match.
And then we got what everyone was really waiting for, the bikini contest segment 2, where Johnny B. Bad says, she's a motorcycle, baby. I'd like to ride with her, when he sees Medusa. So lots of oogling and grunting and more creepy commentary is what I'm trying to say.
Totally necessary stuff. That's the thing, is like the crowd, like we talked about the crowd earlier, right? Like a very broad selection of ages and genders, whatever. What made them think that like a family audience would be interested in this specifically? Like, that's what I don't understand. It's not like 1997 where it's all dudes and you're like,
two words, baby, sex sales.
Yeah. I don't know. I think for it was a strange choice for 1992. I could see it in the Attitude Era. Like the Jerry Springer era, or the Girls Gone Wild, like all that stuff was happening in the late 90s. But
I agree.
Just a strange thing to include in 1982.
He successfully alienated all those old ladies and stuff by doing shit like that. I mean,
probably
the beginning of the end. Probably. I mean, it wasn't very. Once they got into crotch chops and fucking, whatever.
They had lost them by that point.
Bra and panty matches, they were probably totally gone. Yeah. But this was like the little precursor. And I love this era, because it does have the classic wrestling, but it has a little bit of production, and we do see where wrestling is heading as we watch, but it's not totally all fucked up in like Mountain Dew yet, It still has a little, it's not totally like extreme sports. It still has a little bit of that old school in there. So, I mean, the bikini contest could have been thrown away for sure. I mean, I already mentioned it, but at the end, they still put on the screen that Medusa's winning, you better call and give us your parents' money and pick up the phone and all that stuff. And then we get into a 6-man tag team match. I don't know, for some reason, it was really hard for me to follow, like, who the fuck was on whose team. I kept trying to write it down, and I was like, I guess because all these guys
they were like all white, all blonde.
They all look the same, yeah.
But it was a good match. It was Dustin Rhodes, son of Dusty, brother of Cody, Barry Windham, and Nikita Koloff. They were facing Arn Anderson, Stunning Steve Austin, and Bobby Eaton. So like a lot of good names in that match. A lot of famous names in that match.
And who was Paul E working for? Who was Paul?
That was Arn, Steve, and Bobby Eaton. They were the Dangerous Alliance.
Okay, so they were the heels then. Yes.
Yeah, Arn Anderson, Steve Austin, Bobby Eaton were the heels. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool to see Steve Austin play this totally different role. I mean, just knowing what he's about to become. There's no way he knew what he was about to become at this point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's like 5 years before he even starts, really being stone cold. So yeah, this is before a lot of things. I mean, Paul is Paulie Dangerously is still in the WCW. He hasn't left to go make ECW what it was, and
Right.
we know that Steve Austin goes over there with him, and Scotty Flamingo and other people.
Yeah, you can see like Paul, he was an interesting guy. I mean, I know his persona is that he's always scheming, but in real life, he was in there as a manager, but he was building, a famous company that he was in there scouting while he was working, like he brought a lot of those guys to come with him, and he was working angles that he still makes money off of working today. So it's kind of cool, man. Jesse Ventura is at peak hilarity. I didn't write down what he said, but man, I guess this guy was cracking me up during this match as well because
he was the funny guy this time.
Yeah, but the match ended with a disqualification from a superplex off the top rope. Who won that one though?
The good guys, Dustin, Barry Windham, and Nikita Koloff.
Okay, so yeah, there's that fucking rule thing again. That that damn NWA rule that made it in.
Yeah, really didn't help. I mean, removing the mats around the ring. Okay, yeah. I mean, I probably not good overall because, for the health of your wrestlers, but did make all of the outside stuff look super intense.
Yeah,
the coming off the top rope being a disqualification, incredibly stupid. I think it's so dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I know in like amateur wrestling, you can't lift someone up in the air over your shoulders or whatever. Because obviously if someone goes up, they can break their neck. But wrestling, we're way beyond that. You can throw them off the second rope. You can jump off the ring. Like it's like
I just think it's really dumb that it's like, oh, they're up on the top rope. It's gonna be a disqualification. Oh, but they put their feet on the second rope, so now it's not a disqualification.
Right.
Like, dude, come on, that's dumb.
So in the post-match interview, Steamboat was doing his classic babyface stuff, and then Cactus Jack came out to attack him. I guess Paulie used stirring the pot so Steamboat can't go on to affect him negatively, and whichever of Paul's henchmen he's fighting next. I'm not sure who.
Well, I guess that was what made me feel like Cactus Jack was hired by Paul.
Yeah,
and so I guess Paul is kind of just like the puppet master of all the feuds in WCW, or all the big ones, because he sent Cactus Jack to fight Sting before Sting fights Vader. He is now sending Cactus Jack after Steamboat so that Steamboat can't get the championship from Rick Rude.
Oh, Rude,
so I guess,
right, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess Heyman is just everyone's manager who's a heel in 1992 WCW.
And then we move on to the final contest of the Bikini Extraordinaire. Johnny B. Bad exits because Jesse Ventura decides he should have been the host the whole time. He's the one with the babes. This whole thing started out with Jesse Ventura getting lathered up with sunscreen by like 4 women in bikinis. So
it did, yes.
Yeah. So the whole story here is that Missy Hyatt's bikini's been stolen. She's naked in her little privacy booth. So she pulls Jesse's scarf off of his head and makes a bikini out of it. Comes out wearing a Jesse Ventura bandana,
so dumb
design bikini. I wrote, campy, ridiculous segment. Crowd did seem into it though.
And let's just say that was a horrible looking bikini. Like
if you're thinking this is sexy, none of it is. Yeah.
that's what made me laugh is like they're hyping up, the third round's going to be like the tiny bikinis. And I'm like, okay, I think
weeny bikini.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I think I know what to expect here. And then I'm like, that's what you did. Like you used bandanas. Like it's not even flattering.
No. And fucking Medusa she was pretty well covered too. There was nothing. I mean, if these people think that was sexy, like I can't imagine if they just saw like Tony Storm or Sky Blue in a regular match at this point. Like they're wearing incredibly way less than these girls, like quote unquote teeny weeny. But if it fucking matters, it really doesn't. But it's in there, so I didn't want to skip over it, right?
Yeah, no, you shouldn't skip over it. It's a part of the pay-per-view. It's a forgettable part of the pay-per-view. And then finally, we get to the main event of the evening, which is the Steiner brothers against Terry Gordy and Steve Williams. This was for the tag championships, and we've seen the Steiners a handful of times before, and this was, I would say them at the peak of their first run in WCW, and Terry Gordy I have never seen Terry Gordy before this. I've heard of him many times.
Yeah.
That's an ugly dude, man. He got a face for radio. And Dr. Death Steve Williams, we've seen before. Steve Williams is the man. Both really big dudes and very interesting to juxtapose the way that the Steiners looked versus how Gordy and Williams looked, because the Steiners are pretty built, pretty athletic, like very clearly they were wrestlers, and they're probably both 4 to 6 inches shorter than Terry Gordy and Steve Williams, who are very much the like early to mid 80s, big, like, you know, just like a chonk. They're like no, very little definition, just like a big chonk of man, you know?
I'm looking at Terry Gordy now. Oh, man. That guy's something. He looks like just, I don't know, like a giant. Like they would make a giant look in the 80s in a TV thing. Just like,
Yeah.
not just big, but like my face is all fucking mangled. My chin's.
He fell out of the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down. That sounds like something Cornette would say.
Flatter than a plate of piss. Yeah.
But, you know, for a match, not my favorite of the night. I think it was just because it was so long.
It was long, dude. 20 minutes long. A lot of technical.
No, it was
wrestling.
30 minutes long. It was a 30-minute time limit draw.
Yeah, and it went to time. So yeah, you're right.
So just a lot. I mean, and that's not to say that it wasn't a good match. It just there came a point where I was like, they're really taking their time here. You know, it was almost like what I remember some AEW matches that ended up being draws feeling like, where there comes a certain point where you're like, okay, I don't think this is going to end with a normal fall. Like this feels like it's going to be a draw. And that's kind of the vibe I got with this match. And I was right. So
I kind of wish AEW would do more of those time matches, those Iron Man, stuff like that.
Yeah, because when you think about all the draws, dude, some of the draws in AEW are incredible.
Really good.
Like, so good. And this was not bad, but it was missing something. The Steiners are very over. The crowd loves them. You know, Terry Gordy and Steve Williams are very hard hitting. So like, it's not that anything was wrong. It just like, for a main event, they kept talking about the Steiners are the greatest tag team in wrestling today, and I'm just like, yeah, they're all right. It's fine.
I think there was times where Rick was waiting on the side for his hot tag for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, there were.
I even said that one time. Rick's been out of this for 20 minutes. It's like, and then you get the hot tag, and then that kind of wanes, and then it's interesting too. Like when I watch Braun Breaker, who I kind of wax and wane out of liking him or disliking him, but you know he does. He has the face of his dad, but he does like the bark and has like some of the facial hair of his uncle. So it's kind of funny.
It's the other way around, because his dad is Rick.
But he looks more like his uncle.
Yeah, he looks more like his uncle.
Looks like his
but he's
uncle.
Got the bark like his dad.
Bark like his dad, which is kind of a weird combo. Yeah, he looks so much like his uncle. That's weird. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what was going on in that family's household, but.
I don't know that, but that's dude. Family genetics is so weird. Like, have you ever met somebody who's like 6'5" and their parents are both under 6 feet because their grandparents were like 6'8" or something? Like, it's so genetics is so interesting to me.
But it's slow pace, but there's a lot of great technical wrestling in there, and and they were telling a story. It did get a little bit much, but it was fun at moments, and. We ended with the time draw, which I didn't totally expect. I guess you kind of saw it coming, but
crowd wasn't too excited about it either.
It's not a very good ending to a pay-per-view.
No, time limit. So that's the thing about time limit draws, right? Is they're always unsatisfying. And then when you look back at them, you're like, okay, yeah, that was pretty cool. But like with something like this, we're never going to go back and watch this. So I was just kind of like, okay.
Well, should we get into the grapple grade?
Let's do it.
All right, so I don't think it's perfect. I'm not going to go with the rewind. Well, let me back up. The 3 rating levels we have: fast forward, play, rewind. Fast forward being yay, play being double yay. Wait, fast forward being boo, play being yay, rewind being double yay. I'm going with play because there was some cool stuff. I really love this era. I really like early 90s, late 80s wrestling, especially WCW. It has a really cool feel to it. We got to see a lot of stars, and we got to see some cool shit. There was also some whack shit. not the greatest finish, not the greatest thread with the bikini contest.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't like shit on it all together. I gotta say, like, I think it's a hidden gem. I think it's worth finding if you're bored on Peacock and want to see something that maybe you haven't stumbled across before. Check it out. What would you say? What say you, Aaron?
I think I would say the same. Yeah, I it's not worth skipping because there is some good stuff here, and it's not on the level of some of the pay-per-views that we've covered previously where it's like, holy shit, start to finish, this is insane. This is a play for me. It's good but not great. I think that just like you said, you can turn it on and there will be some really good stuff. There will be some stuff that you can fast forward through, and overall, it was an enjoyable watch.
All right, now it's time for some listener correspondence with my evil modem. Dial-up modem from hell. Let's see, what do we got here on the old TikTok? You've got some heat this week, Aaron.
Oh boy.
You said last week that current WWE and AEW stars don't get heat like the old guys got. They don't get real heat like they did back in the day. So Dirt on TikTok, how'd you get that name? Just DIRT. You must have been an early adopter, Dirt. Dirt on TikTok says that Moxley's last world title run had real heat. So they take issue with that. And I ended up talking with them a little bit. They're like, that's the only reason Hangman is such a good babyface now. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
I don't necessarily disagree, but I think that it's a mixture of heat that he created for himself and then heat just around the situation.
Yeah.
Of the story not being particularly good, of him constantly winning through interference. Like, I don't disagree with you. Dirt? Was it Dirt or was it
Dirt.
Dirty?
DIRT.
I don't disagree with you, Dirt, but I think like it's not as cut and dry as what either of us said in reality. I don't disagree, but
I don't think that Jon Moxley is going to walk out into the parking lot and get stabbed by a fan while he's trying to like take a piss on the side of the building. You know,
in reality, no one's gonna have that happen to them anymore because we all know that they're playing characters. Whereas maybe in the 80s, people knew, but it was a little easier to forget, if that makes sense.
And then Jack Brown 9 weighed in on what you were saying on TikTok too. I think they agreed with you a little bit more, but they said it's lower level heat, but Blake Christian gets good heat. So they wanted to shout out to Blake Christian. I mean, I've seen Blake Christian in the Indies for years. He had that GCW belt for about a year. He was the world champion. He didn't look like a world champion. He would come out and he would wipe his ass with the belt. You know, he was very. I mean, you fucking hated him. Now in AEW, I don't know if what he's doing to get great heat. I'm not sure. I see him pop up on Ring of Honor and stuff. But yeah, he's great because he doesn't look. He looks kind of like a young.
He looks
brat.
like a baby face. Yeah.
And he's just kind of you're kind of like, what the fuck is this prick doing? And then he wins. So he does get heat. I mean, I give him that.
That's cool. Yeah, I can respect that. Look, my opinion comes from my very narrow view of wrestling. I don't watch everything. I'm sure there are people who are getting real heat. I think in general, it's just not the same. You know, like when Jerry Lawler tells stories about coming out after matches and all 4 of his tires are slashed. And so, or like somebody's waiting in the parking lot with a brick and Jerry's like, don't throw that. And then they throw it at his windshield. Like, I just
guns, knives,
that
kind of shit.
It's just, that doesn't happen anymore. And that's good. Like, we don't want that happening, but I think there's a reason why it did, and my guess is that things were just a little bit more believable. And kayfabe was a little bit more alive then than it is now.
Yes. So do you have thoughts, disagree with our rankings, want to tell us who really won the bikini contest? Leave us a voicemail, 626-657-SLAM. Or you can always email us, grapplecityrewind@gmail.com. We are also at Grapple City Pod on TikTok, at Grapple City Todd. Grapple City Todd. We are at Grapple City Pod on TikTok and Instagram and all those other social media places. We'll read the best ones on the air, especially if you're angry or nostalgic or weird or just have a good point to make. This was my pick. So next week, how about you want to throw one out there, Aaron, for us to watch?
Yeah, I've got one picked out. I thought that since we will be recording it in the month of August, that I would stick with the year 1992. However, we're going to jump to the other side of the tracks and we're going to watch probably one of the biggest old pay-per-views that we have not watched yet, and that is SummerSlam 1992, which was the Wembley 80,000 people, Bret Hart versus British Bulldog.
I love that one. And I think this will be cool because it's one that I've seen multiple times and I still love it. And I'll have a reason not to pause it or come back to it, just to watch it straight through. My first time watching it, taking notes. SummerSlam 92. Hell yeah. Well, that's it. That's all we have for this week. Thanks for joining us for this beachside brawl of nostalgia. We'll be back in a couple weeks or so, and we will catch you soon, or maybe we'll see you in the cheap seats.
Bye, everyone.
Hulk Hogan, you fucking suck.